Welcome in, race fans, to another edition of In the Dirt. I am the captain of this ship. And for the record, it's a pirate ship. I like Jimmy Buffett songs, so I'm approaching 40, so that Buffett song about the pirates that look at 40 or whatever it was. Oh, boy, was it cold at Green Valley Speedway over the weekend. It was a winter wonderland. It was the most odd event I've ever been a part of in the 4 or 5 years now that I've been covering dirt late models across the country. And at one point during the evening, it was just kind of spitting snow. It wasn't really a what you would call a weather event. It was just kind of like, okay, if it's just this, then no big deal. And I'm a Yankee too, so you know I know what snow is and what a flurry is. I mean, a flurry is kind of like, you know, it just floats through the air, whatever. No, not even accumulating on the ground. But at one point during the feature, and you can go on Dirt and see all the footage I took from Saturday night and see the snow. I mean, there was golf ball sized snowflakes at one point coming down. It was just so unreal to even just odd. That's all I could say. And then, you know, of course, for those of you who are subscribed to Dirt on Dirt, lap 61, they pulled the drivers to the infield, and tires started popping. Mike Marlar popped a tire. Billy Ogle Jr. popped a tire. We had at least one more tire pop. So they pull all the drivers to the infield. And Dennis Harker was getting the drivers' advice as to what the track was like. Could they continue? Which I thought that was a pretty good idea, to at least give the drivers their chance to talk about it. But as they put the cars back on the speedway, I think maybe stopping the cars may have hurt them saving the racetrack, and it was getting pretty slick out. Questionable whether they could have win or not. Second and third place probably would have told you they could have went, McCready and Randy Weaver. But as they get back on the racetrack, Casebolt's he's got a right rear flat. So I asked him,
have you ever taken a checkered flag in the snow with a flat tire going 15 miles an hour?
No, this weekend's a whole bunch of firsts for me. The snow, the flat tires, I've never even been here before, but this is definitely a bizarre weekend, but we've had a great time.
Without further ado.
Man, Webb, what a show this weekend.
It was beginning to look a lot like Christmas, as the old song goes.
So, was the snow actually sticking to the racetrack and all that?
Well, the funny thing is when they parked the race cars in the infield, as a good cameraman, as a good disciple of Michael Rigsby and Dirt on Dirt, I run down there and try to get pictures of it with the video. You know, I do have video of it, and it was slick to an extent, but no slicker than what a dry slick racetrack would be, I don't reckon. And again, I'm not a tire expert, nor am I a late model pilot. And then, so I went down there and, you know, got pictures of them in the infield. You know, I don't know. If it was a matter of safety and if the drivers told Harker, I'm not privy to what they told Harker, what they didn't tell Harker. I know that they said that they should have probably stayed on the racetrack and tried to save it. But they didn't race anything else afterwards, so the decision was made that the track was unsafe, I guess, to continue.
Well, I guess then the main question is how many fans actually stuck it out, because it had to be absolutely just miserable cold.
Well, you know, it wasn't as bad as one would expect with the temperatures as low as they were, and then of course snow. The pits were extremely full and busy. I mean, trying to drive my little, I drive a little pickup truck around, a little Colorado. It's like a Chevy skateboard. It's not very big at all. But even trying to drive a little skateboard around, you know, there's lots of people. You have to watch what you're doing. So the back gate was tremendous. I think probably as good as it's been. 37 late models. I think there was like 30 crates. I think there's 190 cars overall. Not bad.
Good turnout.
So, there was plenty of people there. There might have been 300 people in the grandstands. Of course, there would have been at least that plus 300 or 400 had it been a better weather weekend. But
and see, the thing is, why I asked that is, it seems like every time I've been down south when it gets cold, 40 degrees down when you're in the south, it just seems like it's a whole lot colder than 20 degrees up here with the wind blowing.
And this is going to sound crazy, but it's down here it's the humidity in the wintertime that would make you colder. So 32 degrees here with moisture in the air is bone chilling compared to what it would be what we're accustomed to, you in Cincinnati, me in Indianapolis. And
right.
it was kind of a dry. I mean. It was kind of a dry, low humidity weekend. I know humidity is thought of as warm, I guess, but you can still have moisture in there and be cold. But it wasn't that unbearable. But I will say that I was layered up pretty significantly. I had my old snow bib on, the one I thought I never would need and brought anyway when I moved here. And it was sweatshirts and long johns and hand warmers, and I mean I was pretty I covered my bases, so to speak.
Well, I heard that they were having a sprint car race in Pennsylvania too.
Lincoln Speedway, wherever that might be, they also had snow. So there was two events this weekend, two automobile racing events this weekend that were done while snowing. Still odd.
So what does that say about racing? What does it say about racing
that we are
this time of year?
No. What's it say about racing in general? That we are absolutely retarded. That's what it says. We have no good walking around sense.
Well, I don't feel bad for not making it to any of those races. So not that I would have made it anyway, but at least I have a good excuse. I didn't want to freeze.
Listen, I mean, it was fun, and it's going to be one of those events, I think, that 10, 15, 20 years from now, the guys that were there, me and Joshua Joyner were talking about it. It's like, this would be that race.
Remember when it snowed at the Bama Bash?
Yeah. Remember when the Ice Bowl was in March and not in January? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dude, guess what I got to, chit-chat with?
All right, I'm curious.
One of the most powerful men in the country when it comes to energy.
When it comes to energy.
I got to sit and chat at great length with Don Blankenship.
Oh, okay. The coal man.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to admit I knew who he was. And I knew, obviously John's dad, whatever. But I mean, I really didn't know much more. I knew what there may have possibly been some headlines about the dude, whatever, but it's not something I follow. So, I get home Friday evening after talking with the guy, and I start Googling the dude.
Right.
How about this dude's on Fox News and talking to Congress, and I mean, that dude's a heavy hitter, man. Believe me, he went home with my business card.
Don Blankenship.
Don.
Okay, so
John's
dad,
Don.
He owns Macy Energy.
Yeah, he's
Massive,
I don't know if he owns it, but he's a CEO. But
okay,
real cool guy. And what's great is he was so down to earth. He noticed my Dirt on Dirt shirt and hat, and he said, I excused myself from the room and said, listen, I don't want to keep you or bother you. I'll get out of your way. He said, no. He said, sit back down. I want to talk to you about this Dirt on Dirt poll. And I said, oh, do you? He said, do you know who votes in? I said, I'm a voter. He said, where you got my boy at? And I go, 21. which John fell out of the poll, and we'll get to my poll later here. He fell out of the poll, by the way, in my poll anyway.
He's going backwards. Don Blankenship has his own website too. So I got a feeling that if he's talking with Congress and this and that, and he's a big CEO of a major energy company, guess what? You know what that means, right? We're
probably on the CIA's hit list now or something?
No, he's probably going to run for some part of government or something.
Maybe I can be like his video campaign manager guy.
Hey, there you go. So it'd be good to make sure that you stay friends with that guy.
But he was real down to earth. I mean, just and talking racing and the poll, and he said, tell Rigsby we should have a computer part of the rankings. Where the computer does it.
No, he should sponsor it.
I was dropping hints about certain things.
Yeah.
Well, tonight
he says that he's not directly related to those who feuded with the Hatfields in the hills of Kentucky. It specifically has that on his About Me page. Was that he trying to be? Was that being funny, or was that a preemptive? No, his mother was a McCoy.
Oh, okay. That's what I was trying to figure out how that had relevance to him. But okay.
Yeah. So I gave you the second part first to have you wonder about the first. So that's like how it works, right?
Paul Harvey, yeah. And now the rest of the story. Well, tonight we got a whole show to do. We got a friend of mine that I should have had on a long time ago. Met him and his father 2 years ago when I worked for Old Man's Garage. But Russell Brown Jr. out of Valdosta, Georgia. He's a hard-nosed racer from down that way.
Hold on, Junior.
Yeah, Russell Brown, his dad is a genius car builder down there. He does. Listen, I walked in the shop as a stranger, and I spent I think 3 hours with the two of them, and I got schooled in weight distribution, where to put the battery, what percentages is where. His daddy, Mr. Brown, jumped down on the ground with a piece of chalk and was just going to town. I mean, I was literally at chassis school. It was a fun visit. It was a fun visit. Trust me, it was a fun visit. You would have loved it.
You want to wing it with this caller?
I believe this is I believe that's Russell calling in. That 229 number looks like South Georgia.
Ooh.
But let's finish.
We're not going to say anything about his dad then. I've heard lots of stories though, Webb. But you're right. Well, sounds like he was genius.
We'll talk to we'll talk to Russell about him here in a minute. Also on the program, Steve Casebolt will be getting him on here in about 10 minutes or so. Also, the newest Gator hunter to join Swamp People, Jacob Poel from Michigan, Michigan Dirt Cup driver. He's an open wheel guy. He went to Florida and he killed 2 gators in Volusia and took them home with him and had them mounted on a little trophy. Also,
the Gator Killer.
The Gator Killer. I think that should be his new nickname, Jacob the Gator Killer Poel. But he's got a great story because the week didn't start out well for him when he got there. So we'll talk to him about that. And then to end the program, of course, we'll do my top 25 picks for the Dirt on Dirt poll that comes out tomorrow. But to end the program, we're going to talk to Danny Ray Erskine Jr. You know him. He's putting together Kentucky boy. He's putting together
you know what they say about Kentucky.
They don't like Hoosiers.
That's right.
Yeah, but he's putting together a car that street legal dirt late model. He's going to raffle it off, raise money. We'll let him tell us about that. But let's go ahead and bring on our first guest, Russell Brown Jr. Welcome to the program, brother.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Now, do you recall the first time me and you met?
Yeah, and I was listening, and I was thinking about it today, and I knew you would have to bring up the chalk incident.
My God. I mean, listen, I'm not by any means making fun. That was the coolest. I mean, I spent 3 hours with y'all easy. and like your dad damn near turned me into a chassis builder in 25 minutes with a piece of chalk and the cement.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of relates to us is that, we try to bring everything down on the local driver's level. There's a lot of this stuff that gets into a lot of engineering and stuff, and we try to make it where everyone can understand it.
Well, I mean, certainly if your dad can make me understand anything, because I'm not a mechanic nor a chassis engineer. But what's it for you growing up? I mean, your dad's been around this stuff forever. I mean, forever and a day almost. What's it done to have that much knowledge right at your fingertips for your racing?
I mean, it's definitely helped. The fact that, I've been around it all my life. The very first race I ever went to, I was only 2 weeks old. And just growing up around it and listening to my dad all the time, talking with, the drivers and customers that he had when I was growing up, and just trying to understand where they're coming from, and also hearing from their aspect of, the driving. It's helped me driving wise and helped me learn on the cars itself, because a lot of times my first couple of years was a little rough, but now it's more or less I make most of the changes. But then if I start second guessing myself, then I'll ask my dad and see what he thinks, and then we'll just kind of come up with something together to see if we can accomplish what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and of course. Go ahead, Brian.
So how many times when you're discussing things with your dad does he tell you you're full of crap?
Well, I mean,
because it tends to be like, my grandfather was the same way, racer all these years, and anytime I had some input, when I told him what I thought, it was all, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, me and my dad, I guess because, we work with each other, we're around each other all the time. I'm at that shop 7 days a week, and most of the time I'm pulling easy 12 hours a day working, just because it's me and him. We have to stay working all the time to kind of keep up with the demand and stuff. And, he does listen a lot to the stuff that I have to say now and what I feel compared to when I first started. When I first started, you really don't know a lot. You're just going by what you think, and nowadays I have, a little better understanding of the cars and what I'm looking for. The last couple of years we've actually redesigned our late models from stuff that me and him have talked about. He's a little more open to change than your average builder. He'll do basically whatever anyone wants. If you come to him and tell him you want a car that's built a certain way, he's going to do it that way. Now, whether it works or not, that's on you. But we do whatever they want. And with me and him, we're talking all the time. When you work with somebody, you talk with them all the time. And when we're riding up and down the road from the racetracks, most of the time when we leave the track, I want to go to sleep. I'm tired, want to sleep all the way home. And he's constantly grilling me all the way home. What do you think if we could have changed this, or how did, what happened here? And that's one of the good things I think that has helped me out and us all together is the fact of us working with each other. And, there has been times that he's told me I'm full of crap. But he's more open to listen to me than he was my first year.
So what you're saying is that he's more open to hear you out before he passes judgment on you. Yeah.
Basically, the older I'm getting now, and the more knowledge that I have, he knows that I understand, the physical thing of the car, and basically what we need to do to progress to get better.
Now, wasn't it last year when the World of Outlaws came to Needmore? Was it last year or was it year before?
That was last year.
Now, you guys, I know you made that race. A couple of the local guys, you and Adam Giles, both made the race.
Right.
Do you guys run the NDRA stuff and all that stuff down there in North Florida, South Georgia?
No, most everything is around here is based off of the National Late Model Series.
National Late Model, that's what I mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's basically what most all our stuff is around here. If you could get some of these tracks together a little better than what they are, we could go a lot more places. But the National Late Model motor is about your average motor for everywhere around our area.
Which is what type of motor?
It's 358. You can run the aluminum Burdex spec heads or a bow tie Vortex steel head. We have to run 48-pound crank, stock stroke, flat top pistons, flat tappet cam. We're lucky we get about 540 horsepower.
And you guys pretty much stay around Waycross and Needmore, and where else do y'all end up at?
Yeah, I've run. Last year we run a bunch of different races. I try to travel as far as I can, with work permitting and if the rules permit. I run at Dublin and Cochrane, Waycross. Brunswick's cut out the late models this year, and so we can't run over there. Lake City, Ocala. If I wish Volusia would stay open all year long, that way I could run down there because I love Volusia. We run Albany. That was probably one of the second last races I run last year. Basically within a 2.5, 3 hour range from Valdosta in a circle west. That's pretty much where we run at right now, because that's about the only places our motors are legal. I called Dixie, the tech man at Dixie, and I guess he's the tech man for Dixie and Rome, and tried to talk with him about me running my car in the limited late model class, but because I have the aluminum spec heads, they won't let me. I tried to talk with him a little bit and, tell him I was actually under horsepowered for comparison of motors, but he just said because of the aluminum spec heads, I wasn't allowed.
Well, what do I got to do to get you to come to Ocala in a crate car? You'll have fun, I promise you, brother.
Well, I really like Ocala. I've had one bad experience with crates, and just haven't bought another one.
Yeah.
I bought one that was supposedly legal and showed up to the Crate Nationals at East Bay a few years back, and happened to go through tech and was told that the motor that I had bought was illegal. And we loaded up. I couldn't get another motor in time, and just loaded up, and I haven't run another one since.
Gotcha. So what? I know we talked earlier. Well, we talked last week a little bit about you being on this weekend or this week, and you hadn't raced any yet this year. What is going to be your guys' first event that you're going to hit?
I'm gonna probably. I've got a few things on the schedule. A few races. Probably need more here in April to just try to get the dust off. We haven't been able to start as soon as I wanted to this year because we've had a lot of work to do, and that's one of the things that, with me, the work comes first. Me and my dad both agree. We have to get customers' cars out. They are number one on the list. Once we get all the work out, then I go racing. So I'm hoping for the 1st of April, probably start Needmore place and, Waycross for a National Late Model race, something like that. We've been in the last year really pushing a super. I've got a super motor being built right now, and I'm building a new car for it, and trying to push that issue a little more because the recognition that you get down here locally with our top cars isn't as much as what you would get with running any super races. And I'm trying to get further up there with my racing career and also with our cars. A lot of people have heard of us or know of us, but they've really never seen what our cars could do against everyone else in the supers.
Well, listen, I was down there for, I don't know, when I saw y'all, I went around the whole area, and everybody said the same thing to me. Go see Russell Brown and, of course, your dad. And so you guys are very well known as car builders down there, certainly, and that can only help you with the racing part of it.
Yeah, it helps a bunch. We've got a lot of friends. Most of our customers are friends. That's the way we feel about it. They're all friends or family. I've had, one fella, he's a good friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. He come to us, had a limited late model, which is a stock clip car down here. And, I started keeping it up for him and, trying to help him with the driving and teaching him and stuff. And he wanted to buy a new car. and we wanted to build a new design. So we wound up building his, and before he even got to start racing, he had to have a second back surgery. So now he can't drive anymore, without risk of having a major problem. So now he's got me driving his car. So whenever I'm not running my late model, then I'll run his car, or I'll run both of them in the same night. So it kind of helps out in both ways. We get stuff off the late model, research, feedback, and stuff, and try to sell cars in that class. And then we're also doing the same thing in the limited class also.
Well, before we let you thank the sponsors and also thank the crew guys that help you guys out, tell the listeners out there who may be looking for a car, whether it be, and you guys build a couple different types, don't you?
Yes, yeah. We build late models. Anything you want, full bar, swing arm, any of that stuff. We build limited late models, which is to us is the stock clip cars. You can do either way with them. We started building some new what they call Super Street around here is a leaf spring stock clip car for a series that Bobby Piper started, the Southern Outlaw Super Street series. We've got a few of them built right now. We pretty much build everything. We build pit lifts too. Anything. You've seen my dad. You've talked with him enough. He can build anything.
Yeah, there ain't nothing he won't. Hey, can you build a better mousetrap? And he'd say, hell yeah, I can. So. Oh,
I'm sure it'd probably be a good one too.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, before I just want to tell y'all, I walked in a complete stranger, and I felt like I left your guys' shop. I felt like we became friends. So I really appreciate you guys being so warm and welcoming, especially some salesman coming in with khakis on like an idiot. So apologize for that. But before we let you get out of here, thank the sponsors on that 00, and also thank the crew guys.
Yeah, I'd really like to thank George 811, which is Utilities Protection Center. They came on with me last year. Been a tremendous help. I really do appreciate them. And Robinson's Recycling, he's been with me since I started. He's been 10 years now, and he loves every minute of it. European Automotive Group, that David Johnson, he's the one who also owns the limited car. He's been a tremendous help. Like I say, he's like a brother to me. So, he's bent over backwards to help me do anything I can. Byron Corey Race Engines, modern images with the graphics, PPM Racing Products, Butler Built, Fuel Safe. Everybody that's, can kind of help me or help a racer in general. I look at it as the big picture. Racing is what brings us all together, and we need as many people as we can to help. That way we can continue to make it grow. And my father, it's me and my father does most of the work. I have a buddy of mine, Derek Williams. He comes and helps me on the weekends when he can show up. It's mainly just me. Pulling hours, me, my dad, and Derek, and then whatever help I can get from anybody else. I always appreciate everything. I tell everybody, they can't understand how much it means to me for them to help me to try to get where I'm at. So,
well, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you guys about your cars or about your racing, they can go to RussellBrownJr.com.
Right. That's my personal website, or you can go on Facebook. It's Russell Brown Race Cars. We have a page for the shop, and I have a page for my personal racing, which is Russell Brown Jr. Racing. There's a link on the website for that. Or you can give us a call at 229-242-4233, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you got, or try to help you get faster.
Well, Russell, thanks for coming on, man. And when your season gets going, if you guys got some news or you pick up some checker flags, get back in touch with me. We'll have you on. We'll talk about it.
All right. Thank you, man.
Russell Brown Jr. out of Valdosta, Georgia. And if you go into this place and you talk to his dad, he is just one of those guys that, it can just build anything. Well, all right. Well, let's continue on the program here. Let's bring it to the online now. We got Mr. Steve Casebolt. How are you, sir?
Good. Doing great.
Did you find warmer temperatures at home?
It is better. Yeah, it's I don't know what the temperature was today, but even if it's not any warmer, I at least didn't have to be out in it, so it worked out way better.
I live about maybe 10, 15 minutes from Green Valley Speedway, and I go out today, and it's like 60 degrees. I'm like, where was this at instead?
Yeah.
Obviously, the weekend was like just nuts crazy. I mean, it snowed on and off all weekend. Talk to us about the early in the weekend when you guys come out there and drop the track record.
Well, it was kind of strange. It was really a strange weekend just all around. We didn't get a chance to practice. We wanted to go to the practice, but didn't have everything done and ready to go in time, and it was going to be too much of a rush situation for us. So I just kind of went to that track with an open mind as far as setup stuff, and talked to Ray Cook and a few of the other guys that had been there the night before about tires, and got some feedback from those guys, and we put the right tires on and just ran my basic setup that we unload with at every racetrack, and I think one of the things that helped me was I got to sit and watch those guys qualify a little bit, and I was watching what mistakes they were making, and I was watching what was costing them time. It's kind of neat how that track has that scoreboard there, and you can see the whole track while you're sitting waiting in line. Well, not the whole track, but a good bit of it, and you can see, okay, this guy did this, and his time helped. That was a good time, or that wasn't, and this is why. And so I got to sit and watch all of that, and I had a pretty good game planned in mind when I went out there. My first lap was a little conservative because I really didn't even get any hot laps because we got in line behind a slower car and really couldn't hot lap like we needed to. So that first lap of qualifying was really my first lap up to speed, and it was a little conservative, but it still would have been fast time in my group. And then the second lap, I thought, you know what, I'll just go ahead and step it up a notch. I feel pretty good, and it turned out to be in the track record, so that was pretty cool.
Is there any place, configuration-wise, that Green Valley may remind you of?
No, it's different. It's really different. It reminded me of about 3 or 4 different places that I've been to, all mixed in one. But one thing about that qualifying lap that was kind of cool was the way the groove was at that particular time of the night. It really lends itself to the way you drive around Eldora, and I just thought, well,
wow.
This is because we had to be right up against that wall, and you had to be in the gas, and you had to drive it with the right front first and not back into the corner, and that's how I drive around Eldora. So I just put myself in that mindset at Eldora. I'm going to get as close to this wall as I can without hitting it, and I'm going to not let off the gas, and I'm going to make this happen, and so that's kind of how I did it.
I can't put my finger on it, but you did something big at Eldora one time, right?
Yeah, we won the game a couple years back.
Okay, so Green Valley, you guys get there, like you said, blind to it. You don't know what to expect. You go out there, good grooves, drop the track record. You guys, in the heat race, wasn't really that big of a deal for y'all. Y'all took care of that. Fast forward to the feature. It was some old-fashioned door-to-door racing there for the first couple laps. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, it was a little bit ridiculous. I mean, all that was a little bit uncalled for. I mean, I went in there into turn 1 and 2, and I don't even. We touched a tiny bit, and he took it as a super aggressive move on my part, which, I mean, it wasn't. And really, I don't know. And decided we were going to go in there and beat and bang for the next couple laps, so that's what we did. But we both came out all right. Nobody crashed, and we got the body was tore up a little bit, but that's the same body that was on there all year last year, so it didn't really matter. We'll pound it out, and if somebody wants to beat and bang again next week, I guess we can do that too. So,
well, do you feel?
Dude, that's what I love about this guy, Webb. I've watched him everywhere, go door to door with just about anybody. Jason Jameson at Florence, or Barry and Chad at Moeller. You can't. It's nonstop whenever Casebolt's on the track.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I try not to run into anybody, and
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, Steve. It's racing. I mean, you're on a short track, and sometimes you just run out of a little bit of room, and it's not like you mean to drive into somebody. It just happens. It's one of those things. You can't help it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just part of the thing, part of the deal, and I think most of the guys that we race with understand that, yeah, little contact happens every now and then. Don't get me wrong, I've been ran over by my fair share of them, but usually at the end of the day, everybody's got respect for one another and realize what we're up against, and especially in a situation like the other night, that track was pretty well one-laned, and so you get two cars trying to get to one lane, something's got to give, and there's usually, in those situations, you're racing down south, and the weather conditions weren't great, track conditions weren't great because of the weather. Sometimes there's going to be a little bit of contact.
Well, but you obviously class the field. You probably had enough car to get back around him had he got the position, or was it really that important that you guys jump on it on lap one?
Probably not, but you don't really ever know that.
That's true.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but there's a chance. I'd never raced at that track, so I didn't really know what to expect. The only thing I knew was that the passing had been at a premium all weekend, and I thought, well, we got to get in here and get this lead. But I mean, really looking back at it, I mean, he blew his tire out. I don't even think he made it. He might have made it halfway, maybe.
Yeah, I wish you would have just said, all I know is they dropped the green flag. That would have been like the best race car driver answer.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he wasn't going to make it anyway, and neither was I. I only made it to lap 61. I just got lucky and it snowed, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you, okay, so, tires started popping. Mike Marlar's popped. Ogle's popped. Shane Clanton's popped. I mean, when these things are happening, you're leading a race and you're doing as well as you're doing. I mean, does that kind of start weighing on your mind? Like, okay, do I need to take it easy? I mean, what was your thoughts? And was the crew telling you anything?
Well, yes, that was on my mind. That was on my mind before we even took the green, was tire wear. But I've always been pretty good at that tire management, and plus those American racers, normally I'll ask those Hoosiers on those rubbered up racetracks, so I felt like I had an advantage in that situation. And the thing that put me at a disadvantage was I was out there in the lead. You would never think being in the lead is a disadvantage, but sometimes you don't know how hard to go. And with us being a new team, we didn't really, it's kind of my fault because I didn't really establish any hand signals or anything with those guys and what meant to do what. And I mean, some of that stuff's pretty universal, but really we didn't communicate very well during the race, like what we probably will this time next year if we're still together, because we just didn't know each other that well. We didn't know our hand signals that well. We just didn't really know what was happening. But yeah, like midway through the race there, I saw him giving me the slow down sign, and I thought, well, I better go ahead and slow down. But you don't know how much to slow down still because you're in the lead, and you just don't know what's going on behind you. Now,
the formation of this new team, now I know the last couple of years you kind of have slacked off in the racing. I mean, is this going to allow you guys? I know your schedule's got Boyd's and Cleveland on it. I mean, are you going to be able to ramp everything up? And also with the Lucas Oil going all Hoosier, how's that change your schedule, if at all?
Well, it probably does change our schedule. I mean, I'm pretty partial to those American racers. Those are good tires, and those guys have treated me well. And so, yeah, that'll change it. I won't be able to run as many of those races as I would have liked to. I was just talking about that just a little bit ago, that it really kind of puts me in a bind because I used to drive out of my way to go to those Lucas Oil races. Even when I wasn't following them for points, I would drive out of my way just because I liked that bunch. I like racing with those guys. I like the guys you get to race against. I like the series. They've helped me with some sponsorship here and there, and I've followed them for a good many years. But once they change that tire rule, that just changes the whole complexity of things and really makes some of those races unfeasible to go to. So, yeah, and in essence, it will change my schedule some. We won't be following that nearly as closely as we would have been otherwise.
And as far as
more on the tire rule, Steve, how do you think that affects racing overall when a series decides to just go with one tire manufacturer? I know that from a traveler standpoint, all you guys carry a number of different compounds of tires and brands, I'm sure. But when they go and they change to a spec tire for the series, how does that affect, late model racing in a whole, especially for the guys that like to run those crown jewel events that Lucas Oil owns now?
I don't really know. I guess time will tell. I don't like it. I think with not just tires, I think any kind of business whatsoever, there needs to be competition. Without competition, then you have a monopoly, and with a monopoly, you have higher prices. And it's pretty plain to see that if only one tire manufacturer, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's Hoosier, Goodyear, Pirelli, it doesn't matter. If there's nobody to have to compete with, they can name their price. And once they can name their price, then that makes it unaffordable for the racer. Yeah, maybe they would have had to carry I don't even know. I mean, really, they don't even have to carry any less compounds than they would have had to with the rule. They just won't have to compete against American Racer or Goodyear or whoever might have came up against them, I guess. But I'm not all on board on the tire rule thing, but it is what it is.
Let's ask this, okay, and while we're on this subject real quick, I got a question. The question would be, who's to blame here for, because to me it seems like in our sport that it feeds off itself, like it gorges on itself, and that the only people that hurt in this are the racers in the end, because you're shelling all these bucks to do this. Where's the blame lie? Is it the industry? Is it the open wallets of the competitors? I mean, because you ultimately control it, by not buying them or whatever. Where's the blame lie?
I don't know. You would think that'd be an easy question, but that whole tire thing is a complex situation that you could talk about. We could talk about it until this time next week and not really have a great answer. I think that's been the thing all along, is there is no great answer, and I don't really even think anybody thinks that their tire rule, maybe not even the people that made it, they might not think it's the greatest answer ever, but it maybe is what they feel like they were forced to do, or whatever. It was the lesser of however many evils there may be. I don't know, but it's that whole tire rule thing it's just a tough situation, and it all revolves around money and who can make the most of it, and ultimately the racer pays the price, and I don't know why it has to be that way, but it is.
Okay, well, before we let you get out of here, we got to get to this. Okay, about a year ago. Now, I talked to you at Brush Creek about this situation, and we had a guy call in, and he's called in again, but he was screaming about something I guess happened at Moeller's. I don't know, something with tires, but he kept calling you crank bolts. So, and I don't know.
Man. That sounds all right.
I mean, I don't know if. But anyway, would you entertain talking to this guy for just a second, just for a second?
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Okay, so his name is Rufus.
Rufus, I like that. That's cool too. Rufus Crankbolt. That sounds all right. I might just change my name to that.
Rufus Crankbolt.
Well, Rufus, your dream has come true, buddy. We've got Steve Casebolt on the line, and he said he'd talk to you.
Yeah, this the Casebolt?
Yeah, I guess so. What's up?
Well, I go to these races around here in Cincinnati, and I was out at Moeller's, and Moeller's had a Hoosier tire rule, and then they changed it, at the last minute. What's that about?
Well, I don't know. They didn't change it to the last minute, because I called them on Monday, and their race was on Friday, and they said, come race. Bring whatever tires you want.
And I will back him up on that, Rufus. I do know that for a fact.
Well, it don't say that on their website. It goes tire rule. It's a Hoosier tire, any compound. It say nothing about this or nothing about that. That's all we said. And that's why I got on Casebolt.
Now, Rufus.
Yeah.
Now, I thought it was Crankbolt. What's Crankbolt? What does that mean?
Casebolt.
Now, listen, Rufus.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the driver's fault now when the track is wishy-washy. That's the track.
I didn't say it was his fault.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Now, I've been listening on there. What series you going to run? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not going to run a series. We're just going to go out and race there, Rufus.
I see. You're not going to run. I know don't the World's Outlaws, don't they permits? Do you run the American Racer?
I think some of those races they do. I don't know. We're not going to run just American Racer races. We'll go race.
Okay. I heard you say that. I heard you say that you wasn't going to follow the Lucas deal because they went all to them Hoosiers.
Well, that's not the reason we're not following them.
Okay.
That's the reason we won't go out of our way to race with them.
Well, I appreciate Rufus calling in, and I appreciate being a good sport. That guy he's begged us to have you on for a while, so.
He tore him up the tires, didn't he?
Well, when tracks do wishy-washy things, if that's in fact what happened, I don't know. I do know that you called him. I do know that for a fact. I did my investigation, and I know. But it's just
hey, what about tire companies that do wishy-washy things, Wes?
Well, they do. But what about when Jimmy Owens gets that go in the back of that heat race at National 100 and everybody was screaming Jimmy Owens? Well, that was the racetrack. That wasn't Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy just took the opportunity when he was giving it to him. So anyway, that was something a while in the making. So Steve, thank you for being a good sport about that. Before we let you get out of here, thanks some of the sponsors, also the new crew guys for parking that number 9 in Victory Lane over the weekend, and where we can find you at Boyd's in Cleveland next.
Yep, that's the plan. Boyd's in Cleveland, and I'll be there with DNR Motorsports, thanks to Hicks and Ivy, and American Racer Tires, RED Engines, Masterbuilt Race Cars. We're going to be there, and we're going to try to win us another one, I hope. All
right, well, good luck the rest of the season, and hopefully we can get you back on some point. I'd like to see it some of the World Outlaw shows I'll be covering for Dirt on Dirt, so try to make some of them.
Yeah, heck yeah, we're going to try to do all we can do. We're just going to try to go out and do whatever makes the most sense and go out and have a good time and race.
All right, so you mean do the opposite of what we did this weekend in the snow at Green Valley?
Well, we had a little fun, but the temperature could have been better.
That's right. Well, all right. Well, good luck, Steve, and be careful up and down the highway, brother. Thank you for being on the show with us.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Steve Casebolt, or affectionately known as Crankbolt, he was a good sport about that.
That's good, but see, I was on the other side answering calls, so I missed it. What did I miss? He touched on the Moeller deal, and I was like, "Oh, look, Rufus. I mean, that wasn't Casebolt. If in fact the track let him run his American Racers, that's not his fault." But he did say Crankbolt. Do you think he's saying that just to say that, or he just can't say it? Who, Steve or Rufus? Rufus. Oh, he might have. I still haven't figured out if that guy's real or not. He might have a speech impediment. That's all. I don't know. He may have a speech. We shouldn't laugh at. It's not funny to have a speech impediment, but Rufus is funny with how he uses his speech impediment. It doesn't make it any better. I mean, it's not terrible either. Anyway, hey, there's somebody from Kentucky calling in, dude. That's probably going to be our last guest, Mr. Erskine. So let's get to Jake. Let's get to the Gator Hunter real quick. Let's bring the Gator Hunter. He's out from what is it, Bear Lake, Michigan, Jacob?
Spring Lake.
Spring Lake.
Oh,
right?
you got. Yep. You've already got a new nickname.
Yeah, yeah. You just seem to get them left and right lately.
Jacob, the Gator Hunter.
You got to keep that one. Yeah, Billy Egler that puts on that Bluegrass Basher did for a couple of years back. He called me the Michigan Missile, and now I'm Pool Gator, and now I'm a Gator Hunter. So I don't know what's next. You have to put some kind of like Gator scales or somewhere on your paint scheme now, on your wrap,
Just
how about on my new helmet or something?
Yeah, subtle. Yeah, just put it on there subtle because you bag 2 gators down. Now, before we get to
did you get both of them? Like, did you just jump down in the water and grab him by the back of his head and just yank him off and say, "I'm getting you," and pull him up out of the water, and then grab the other one with your other hand, just drop kick him in the side of the head and chop him with a hatchet? How'd it happen?
It wasn't quite like that, but I guess from a mechanical aspect,
awesome.
it was kind of the same way.
Like that, though.
Well,
I did have somebody behind me saying, "Shoot the gator, Jay."
Shoot him. But start from the beginning because the week started out pretty terrible. So talk to us about how excited you were going to Volusia, and then of course deflated. Talk about the instant deflation you had.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been kind of one of my dreams to go down and run in Florida. I always keeping up on it, see who's starting out the year good, and just keeping up on all that stuff. And it was really nice to finally have the opportunity to get down there. Bringing a new car and new engine package, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I mean, I try to do everything the best I can and everything putting the cars together, but you can't really take into consideration any and everything that's going to happen. So we made some pretty good speed on the track. It seemed like with that motor to start off with, it seemed like things were going to go good, and got second fast out of our group, and I was I'm pretty happy about that, and went out there for the first heat race, and as soon as I picked up the gas, I knew that there wasn't something right, and motor just felt way down on power, and I'm not, usually used to that feeling, so it only lasted about, 3, 4, 5 laps there in the heat race, and just kept losing oil pressure, so I pulled it off, and luckily we got a couple of days of rain there, and I don't know everybody and anybody, really down in Florida. So we happened to park next to Jeff Babcock and his whole crew. And he, and during the rain days that we had off, he kind of said, "Hey, I got one of my personal motors here that I can lend you. It's mine. I can do what I want with it." And, he was nice enough to give it to me to use. And we had some good terms, made sure that everybody was going to be happy at the end, that if something happened to it, that I'd replace it. And luckily nothing like that happened. And man, right as soon as I put that motor in, I knew that, we had an engine finally that was going to work. I knew the car felt good right from the first lap, except for, I just had to be watching my gauges, and, you can't really concentrate on racing and, cars going around you and everything else when you're worried about if your motor's going to make it and, watching them gauges. So once we got that all figured out, it just seemed like everything kind of fell into place, and tried to keep the nose clean and, just keep passing cars.
I mean, so going from the high of getting there and the low to, blowing your motor up, explain the feeling when this guy said, "Hey, dude, you can borrow my motor." What were you thinking? I mean, just tell me, walk me through the emotions there.
Well, first off, I brought one of my buddies down with for a crew member. I actually rode down with Brian Rollman, and he had a couple of guys coming along to help him, and I didn't really want to pull them too far away from Brian's car because they weren't really there for me. And after the engine blew up, my buddy had some family issues going on back at home and didn't look like we were going to be racing, so he got on a plane and came back home. So, I had any different emotion that you could really think of. I was upset, happy to be there, like you guys had been talking about on the show. It was kind of cold down there. It wasn't snowing, but it definitely was still, cold, and it's like, hey, I was trying to go on a little bit of a vacation, get some sun, and just, just no matter what kind of emotion, there's nothing I can really just say I was happy, sad, mad. Really, I was excited when I finally knew that I had an engine, and I knew that it was coming from, a good, reliable, team, and that it was probably some good parts, and that I wouldn't have to worry about reliability with it. And, we just started tearing the other one out, and them guys, Babcock's whole crew, just did anything that they could do to help me out, and there's no way that I can really show them, the appreciation. I don't really know Jeff. I met him one time down at the IMIS show, this past year.
Oh, did I lose you?
I think you lost him.
No, I'm here.
Okay. Now
I can still hear you guys.
Yeah, you're back. Now tell me now. There wasn't no slouches in these fields down there, and I'm not up on my open wheel stuff like I should be. I mean, obviously I cover late models mostly. I know you, but there's a guy named Rodney Sanders, and he's one of the best dudes in the country, is he not?
Yeah, I mean, I think he does a lot of USMTS stuff, and up here in Michigan, we kind of hear some names, and it seems like you hear his name quite a bit for winning races out there, the same way that you hear Gustin or Shryock or any one of those guys, especially, when they had that TV show on, that kind of opened up everybody else's eyes around here, I think, a little bit more to the USMTS circuit. And, yeah, I mean, I knew that, going down there that you were going to run with the best guys, and I'm just a real firm believer that, I mean, you're only as good as the competition that you race against, and you really need to, stretch out your wings and get as far away from home, I guess, as you possibly can, and put yourself up against what's supposed to be the best people to see where you stand. So,
how bad did you want the first gator? I mean, if obviously going home with one is the goal. So how bad did you want the first gator when you knew you had a chance? How bad did you want it?
Man, I'm kind of used to slick, burnt up tracks, and I just kept watching the track all night long, and the first couple of nights there, it seemed like it was heavy and a little bit rough on the cushion, which I can drive on that, but I mean, I don't really care for tearing the equipment and stuff up very much. So when I just was watching that track and it just kept getting more burnt up, I'm like, man, this is going to be good, because this is what I'm used to racing on. And really lately, I mean, that's what I've liked racing on, is this nice, smooth, slick track that's wide, and it widened up real good. And about 3-4 laps into the race, I mean, like you're saying, Sanders and Matheson and Hoffman, them guys are all around me. I'm racing with them, and they're hugging the wall or right on the cushion looking for moisture, and I was right in the center of the track, and I could keep up with them, if not pull a couple car lengths on them coming out of the corner. So, like I said, I mean, I knew the setup and stuff was there, and I just kind of kept digging. I started back 10th or 12th in the field, and we had quite a few cautions, which kept the field bunched up, which a lot of times on a half-mile track, it seems like everybody gets stretched out and there isn't a lot of passing. But, I mean, that kind of kept everybody bunched up to where I could pick a car off on the restarts and, stay close to the next couple guys ahead of us and just keep picking cars off. So it got to where I was up to about third place, and I just told myself, these guys all put their pants on the same way I do, and, I'm just going to do what I got to do to see if I can get around them. And the car was just, it felt awesome. And when everything lines up, everything works real good. But if you got one thing or another thing wrong, and as a driver that that you have a problem with the car, it just seems like you can't drive the car to its potential. So,
well, the second race you won, I mean, listen, as a member of media, I try not to pull for anybody, but I was like, come on, Jacob, get up there, baby, get it. So
right.
It was when you guys, so you got these, you're going home, you got 2 gators to look at. I mean, beyond your wildest dreams, I'm sure, 2 of them in 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, I had high hopes, and, I've spent, with myself and a couple of my crew guys here at home, we spent a lot of time in the garage and tried to make the car, as good as possible, which really, to be honest with you, I built this car 100% identical to my previous car, which I've had, I had 37 wins with that car in 2 years, and, some other things, are changing with suspension and stuff, and I'm just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The car feels really good. So, like I said, I mean, we were trying a different engine combination. We've been in a little bit of a rough spell as far as our engine program goes. Things are looking up there, and, I've got 2 or 3 different motors that are slowly coming together. So once those come together, then we'll start racing again.
Now, did you get a call from Andy Stebbins or Bill Long after you guys picked up the gators?
Oh, yeah. Bill Long was one of the 45 text messages from the time that I got the checkered flag over to the hauler and check my phone. He was one of the first ones to just say congratulations, and I mean, it made me feel pretty proud to go down there, and I was told that I was the first Michigan driver to win at Volusia, and I don't know if that holds good water or whatever. I haven't really checked into it, but I mean that's kind of cool. I mean, just I was kind of overcome with so many different emotions going on from the beginning of the week to the end. I was really glad to come home with some hardware so that I made it feel like the trip was worth it, and all the heartache and everything else with things going wrong was worth the time and effort. So,
and even the younger of the two Thoroughbys parked third. The second night you won, he was third. So 2 Michigan Dirt Cup guys. What does that say for the level of competition and the level of skill in the Michigan Dirt Cup Open Wheel Series?
Oh, it's there. I mean, it really is, and it's kind of unfortunate because the last couple of years it just seems like we don't really get a lot of involvement from outside drivers. I mean, we had a couple of John DeMoss came up to Winston, for the first year of the Dirt Cup, and I'd really like to see more of that. I mean, some of us are going out and trying to go out and go up against some different competition. I'd really like to see some of those guys come up and run with us. I mean, you get used to running with the same group of guys, and don't get me wrong. I mean, when you go to a Dirt Cup race and show up and there's 60 guys, I mean, you're not running with all of those guys every week, but I mean, I'd like to see 80 or 100 cars show up to those events and grow the series and make something more out of it. I mean, it's done a really good job for us guys up here in Michigan with getting our name out a little bit and giving us some good races, and just you can't thank Bill Long and Andy Stebbins really enough for the involvement that they've put in the last 5 years here in Michigan. But I really wish that some of them guys had come up, and I don't know what it would take to get them here, but I mean the rules are all the same as what they're running on. Tires are the same as what they're running on. I mean, the only thing different is they got to drive 6 hours to the north or whatever whatever have you. But
well, I mean, they certainly. I mean, I'm going to do my part to keep Michigan Dirt Cup on out in the open and in front of everybody. So, congratulations on picking up 2 Gators. I was glad. Sorry I didn't get a chance to come see. I was really busy. I got to wave at you from my little perch there.
Yeah, I seen you up there.
That was about a damn idiot to sit right there with cars coming at my feet, wasn't it? I mean, that was pretty stupid for that night.
I don't know. Probably got a pretty good angle from that. I'd like to get some of the where do we get the footage from that? I mean, I bought a couple of DVDs there at the track, but it's like one stationary camera, and I mean, is there any kind of
now that's something you may have to talk to Rigsby at Dirt on Dirt. I don't know that they record all of it. I know they record some of it just for replays and whatnot. Now I got Victory Lane that I'm going to put on Facebook for you, and I've been meaning to get to it. And I apologize, but I've got the Victory Lane celebration. You'll at least get to see that and have that. All your fans see it. I'll get that up in the next week. Give me, man, I'm all over the place.
I hear you,
man. I got. I'll tell you offline. I got traveling to do as usual. But before we let you get out of here, brother, congratulations on the Gators. I knew how depressed you guys were when you blew up, but congratulations on a good comeback. I mean, that's adversity. You guys met it, and then you went out there and then waxed the field twice. So thanks some of your sponsors and thank that crew down there that helped you.
Yeah. First and foremost, I guess Fleet Manufacturing. Still got 22 below, on the front of the car, and picked up Trench Tech Excavating here local, and got Lakeshore Custom Services, All-Star Performance, Penske Racing Shocks, Roman Race Cars. He's always there to, give a phone call to and get some tech support, and heck of a smart guy to talk to. So, and this A&A Manufacturing. I mean, there's a bunch of people that I could thank. Gilbo's Lock and Safe, they stepped up a little bit this year, and she just wants to, see me out there on the track and give me a big old hug when I come back in, and it doesn't matter if I win, lose, or otherwise, she's always got a smile on her face, so I'd like to thank Angie for that.
Well, all right. Well, Jacob, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, sorry I didn't get time to come by and see you when we were down in Volusia. That sucks when you're at the same damn facility and you can't even get away to say hello. So,
right. So we live so close. So I mean, Alabama to Michigan, no big deal if we're just crossing paths.
I'm actually going to be in Fort Wayne next weekend. Is that anywhere close to y'all?
I think you're still 4 or 5 hours south. So.
Well, you'll have to make that into the trip. I can't.
Actually, I need to go down to Ohio here pretty soon. So and over to Illinois. So maybe I can make one of those trips happen at the same time and grab a bite to eat or something.
We got your number. I'll get a hold of you. I got a family wedding I got to go shoot. I don't know if I'm invited or if they just want me to come work. I don't know what. Probably
have fun crashing anyway.
All right, Jacob.
It's called come work for free.
Yeah, well, no. Actually, there's this family, they're close family friends, and long story short, we used to go water ski up there as a kid, and I was about 12 years old, and I sat up real late drinking a bunch of Dr. Peppers, so I got sugar drunk, and I took a piece of metal and got it hot and branded this guy's tree with a peace sign, and I felt so bad the next morning. He was just just yelling at me. I defaced his tree, and then the tree died like 3 years later, and so
man.
To this day, this guy's like, you killed my tree, so the least I could do is film his son's wedding and try to make up for that. All right, Jacob, we'll get back hold of you, buddy. Congratulations on them Gators, and like I said, you need to put a Gator scale somewhere in your scheme this year.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, Jacob Poel, Michigan Dirt Cup oatmeal driver, and, of course, he's been on the program. But we got roughly about 25 minutes. Let's do this. Danny, we're going to come right to you. I want to bring on Mr. Kimbrough real quick. Bobby Kimbrough, welcome to In the Dirt.
Hey, how you doing, Webb? Listen, buddy, it's been a long time since I've been on the radio, and I think the last time was like 2 years ago with you. Do you have a 7-second delay? Because I want this to be family-friendly.
Oh, yeah,
and I don't want one of them Howard Stern fines on me, you know?
No, well, we're not covered by the FCC. The Internet's...
The FCC does not confine us. But we can say whatever we want.
We still don't want to go George Carlin on anybody.
Oh, okay, I'll do my best. Listen, I wanted to check you out. I wanted to see what was going on. I tuned in, and here you are talking about all this late model stuff and crank bolts and all kinds of stuff. Every racer knows there ain't no crank bolts in a real race car. It's a torque tube.
Well, the crank bolts.
What?
Torque tube.
Torque tube.
They still got crank bolts in them.
I just had I just poking a little fun at Mr. Casebolt.
That's fine. That's our Rufus is our he's been a dedicated caller for the better part of since we've been on, and I don't know if it's a speech impediment or not, but Casebolt, excuse me, I did it. Casebolt had a victory, and Rufus called in the next Monday to complain / protest, and he was calling him Cranksbolt. So for over a year now, we've been wanting Casebolt on, and he was a good sport about it. So
he was. It was a good segment.
Oh man!
If I call in regular, can I get a nickname like that, Rastus or something?
You can. Let's see. No, we've got to call you. It's got to be something Semper Fi-ish. It's got to be something. It's got to be something Marine Corps related.
Jarhead.
Well, no, not Jarhead. What about what was the kid that had the problem in Full Metal Jacket? What was his name?
Pyle.
Pyle.
You're gonna call me Gomer now?
No, sir. I was just kidding. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm kind of reveling in things, man. Our season has started out here, and the USAC CRA sprint cars start next weekend. So we've got a lot of action going on. I don't know, you make me feel good. I tuned in, I listened to you guys talking about snowing and having to wait for racing, and we've got it going on.
Well, he's trying to convert you, Webb.
Listen, I like the wingless sprints, and the Chili Bowl is on the bucket list. Hopefully, it's on the broadcast list. Anyway, that was something maybe I shouldn't have said. But anyway. Yeah, I'd like to get out and see the Chili Bowl for sure. But I've already had 22 nights of racing this year already, Bobby.
Oh, okay. So the winter weather hasn't held you back at all.
No.
And if I'm reading between the lines here, we can expect you to be broadcasting live from the Chili Bowl.
No. I didn't say that. I just saying that should be something that we do, right? I mean, that's something that should be done.
Come on, that's out in the airwaves now. We all heard it.
somebody ought to do it.
Hey, I got a good sprint car question.
Oh Jesus, Damian Gardner.
How long before Kyle Larson gets kicked out of NASCAR and goes and drives a dirt late model?
You know, that kid has some skill. I think that
I thought you were going to go with
he'll be there for a while, but we'd love to have him back. I mean, he can wheel a car. The kid can flat out wheel a car.
I don't know why he's not over there driving for the Hoffmans all the time.
I heard they banned him from getting in the open wheel right now. His commitment to NASCAR is such where they don't want him risking anything. So my understanding is he can't get behind the wheel of an open wheel car right now.
Is that because
they don't want his celebrity that they're building behind the wheel?
Well, it wouldn't matter because he gets behind the wheel, the kid's going to run up front.
Well, is it because of his youth? Maybe they don't want him because maybe he'll run too hard, doesn't know better when to lay off, or is that why they're probably keeping him out of it?
I think it's specifically the non-wing sprint cars. I think if it's a wing car, he can run it, but non-wing, he can't run it.
Bobby, that's because, I mean, as fun as those things are to watch as a fan, I mean, even they scare the living crap out of me. I mean, that's a football with wheels on it and a big-ass motor. It's scary.
Yeah, there's not a lot of downforce there, and you kind of got to back through the corner a little bit.
You think?
You got to drive with your foot. I mean, there's some talent behind them now.
Oh, yeah. It's a treat to watch those things. They're fast, and when they start lifting that front end off the ground, I mean, you have to have a set that's just humongous. I mean, I don't see how they can get them in the car, to be honest with you.
They don't. They hang them out the left side for left side weight.
Wait.
I've never seen people do some of the things that these guys can do behind the wheel of those cars. I saw Damian Gardner. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he negotiated through turn 2 with the front wheels off the ground. He completed that turn. I don't know how he did it, and then did a wheelie halfway down the backstretch.
Well, real quick, Bob, I want you to hang on real quick. I had another guest. I want to get him on real quick, and you may be interested in the story anyway. So let me bring my buddy Danny Ray Erskine on, and just hang on with you. You'll just close the show with us, okay, Bob?
Sure.
All right, Danny, welcome to In the Dirt, brother.
Thanks, Webb. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, and I apologize. Sometimes the show schedule gets out of whack, and we have surprise callers like Rufus and Poel. But Danny, the guy on the phone right now, Bobby Kimbrough, he's with OneDirt.com. He's a writer for them out west, and of course on the internet and whatnot. But Danny, you got an interesting project. I know you've talked a couple times on the phone about it and online. But what is the project that you have going on right now, and what do you hope to do with it?
Well, basically what I started was a few years back I bought an old Rayburn late model and wanted to make it street legal just because, I'm not a Harley guy, but I want a hot rod that I can play with through the week. So I've always wanted to build one. And now that I'm a new dad, my son's about 3.5 months old now, and I never could afford to race weekly at every show, and so I decided to take the car that I've been running for the last few years, and I'm going to make it street legal, and I'm going to have it all summer to drive around, and it's going to be a 2-seater car, and my thoughts were to raffle it off and use it as kind of a promotional tool, maybe start building them for some customers, but definitely want to raise a little money to help out a few big charities. And on my Facebook page for the street legal cars, it's Recycled Race Cars at Facebook. Been asking, some of my friends and some of my friends' friends for, suggestions on stuff they'd like to see on the car, what kind of wrap and some of their ideas, but, definitely raffle it off. Somebody get a chance to win them a street legal dirt late model here at the end of the year.
And I've seen street legal Indy cars or Indy light cars, street legal sprint cars. I think even Dennis Harker at Green Valley Speedway at one time had a street legal winning sprint car. And Bobby, you've probably seen your share of different street legal cars. What has been the response? I mean, I know you haven't really got the project completed yet, but you've been testing the waters. I mean, I'm one of your guys you bounce things off of. What's been the response so far from just the people in general?
Well, once you go outside of my family, I've not had anybody say that it's a bad idea. They'd all love to own one. And
hell yeah.
From what I've seen, there's a lot of racers out there, as bad as the economy's gotten, that, could have a $20,000 bike. They just don't want one.
Well, what do you think Rayburn would say about it?
He would probably tell Danny that he can't build a damn race car worth a damn. That's what he'd say.
He would tell you, why would you do that? It's still winter. It's still a winner.
Go
well,
ahead,
actually, the car I'm using now is not a Rayburn. I ended up selling that car, but I thought I'd give him a plug. He's pretty popular in this area still. And
he's a real good friend of the program.
Yeah, I've heard him on several times. And but the car I've got now, I mean, my driving skills aren't that great, but at least I can be pretty confident saying I haven't tore up a lot of other people's stuff. I did it because I loved to do it, and I hated seeing low car counts. And my car I'd go run 4 or 5 weeks straight, and then it'd sit in the garage for 3 or 4 months. And I got a great engine builder, a friend of mine that lives in Montana that, if I ever need something, he's here in a week. I was going to have him freshen up an old engine I got laying in the shop for last year, and he just couldn't stand the thought of it. So he's like, give me 2 weeks. And he gathered up a bunch of parts and some donated stuff, and he came down and said, well, you're just going to have to pay me this, and I'm ordering this new. And basically I've got a brand new engine sitting in my car right now that's got 78 laps on it from last year, and that kind of shows how my last year went with my wife being pregnant. But, in no season have I ever ran anywhere full time, but I'd much rather have the car street legal, something that's going to catch everybody's attention. You could probably even sell some advertising on it if you wanted to and have a cool hot rod to drive around.
Now, you sent me a note there, Dave. I'm struggling here to find it on Facebook, but you sent me a note, and it had several questions on it about what should be and shouldn't be on the car. Do you remember what was on that list while I'm trying to find it?
Well, I've actually, if you go to the Facebook Recycled Race Cars page, on it, I've actually got it posted. It's the notepad off of an iPhone. There's about 13, 15 questions, something like that, between both. There's 2 separate ones posted on there.
I see it.
All kinds of ideas I've been bouncing off myself, and, I don't want to make the decision. Like, one of the big things is I could spend several $100s and put a wrap on it and make it look super nice to give it away, but, I don't like every wrap I see, so do I want to do that as a giveaway, as the raffle car, and give it to somebody that hates the wrap, and then a week later it looks totally different, or you want to have just a brand new solid body on it? And
well, let's go over the list real quick, and I'll answer it real quick. I'm going to answer the list for you. Number 1, should the car be an auto or manual? It should be an auto because we don't know who's going to win it. I mean, it could be my grandmother for all we know, who's going to give it to me. Number 2. Should it be pre-wrapped? We just talked about that. I think you should probably just let it be and let the person who wins it see what they want to do with it. Number 3, charity ideas, who to donate to. I mean, you can't go wrong. Find a good charity, whether it be local or national. Make sure you get all their information about where the money goes, or their tax ID number, that whole stuff. The colors and scheme, just make it plain white or plain black, whatever metal's cheapest. Circle track or bucket seats, probably what's going to be more comfortable for a street legal car would be the bucket. The spoiler is what's most important. It's got to be Lexan, so people can, because there will be a mirror in this thing, right? I mean, it's not, you have to have a rear. Yeah, so you got to be able to see through the wing, the spoiler. So it's got to be Lexan. Now you can decide how you want to sell the tickets, because I'm buying like at least 20 of them. And where should you give the car away? Probably somewhere like Florence, I would say. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that is probably the track I've run the most at. And I'm going to give a shout-out to Brian Gray. I have a distinction at Florence that I don't think a lot of people do. I've never managed to hit him, and I don't think he's ever managed to hit me.
I appreciate that.
So number 9, should the passenger side have a remover steering wheel? Well, of course it should. Number 10, should the doors open or crossing? Now, this is where we really got to talk.
It cannot. I don't know, Webb, about opening doors.
But what if we made it wings?
It's got to be Dukes of Hazzard style.
Well, what if it's like the Gull Wing doors, though?
I know a guy that can make that stuff.
That'd be kind of cool. Gull wings. If you don't go crawl through, you have to go gull wing. All right. Let's see. Would your local track let me bring a display? Yeah, I could probably help you with that here around here.
You're talking about like the doors, like on a DeLorean,
or the Mercedes gull wing. Yeah, just same thing. I think that'd be sharp.
Not like Lambo doors.
Well, man, if you did it that way too, it'd be cool. Yeah, the DeLorean or the Lambo would be cool.
I'm going to have to go ahead and confess. This one's far enough along, it's going to be crawl through regardless.
Okay, so that's no sense in answering that one. And what's as far as the tickets go and who you, I'm not going to answer. That's up to you. But I will, when they're on sale, I will buy some. I promise. So when is the projected completion date for this project?
Well, another question that I think got left off the list is I've actually got a fuel-injected LS engine sitting in the shop that I bought for another project a long time ago. I've been debating making it a fuel-injected LS, something that realistically in that light of a car will probably get 30-plus miles a gallon if it's geared properly. And we all know that the LS foundation is pretty sporty.
Yeah, well, matter of fact, there's a series that just started, the Chevrolet Performance Super Late Model Series. It's bounded with the LS motor. Shameless plug there for the Neesmith Crate Racing Series. What's the projected end date on this deal?
Well, I was hoping to have it ready by opening here at Florence the 15th or 16th, whatever the day is. But unfortunately, back in August, I tore the Achilles tendon in my foot and was out of being able to do anything for 4 months. I'm just now back mobile, just off all the restrictions from it, and realistically, I'm hoping like May or June to start driving it to the track. Just kind of have to see how everything else comes together. Like I said, being a new dad took up a little more time than I could have imagined, but I wouldn't trade him for nothing.
That's right. Well, anybody out there listening, you can go find Recycled Race Cars on Facebook. Also, you can look for Danny Ray Erskine Jr. on Facebook. Hey, is there going to be a website, or everybody can contact me and I can get them in touch with you, I guess, for tickets. And tickets will go on sale after it's completed, of course. So May or June. That's what you're telling us.
That's what I'm hoping for. Realistically, I'd like to see it give away the end of this year, but if I don't sell at least 80% of the tickets, I'm not going to get rid of it this year. It can be giveaway next year. I am going to have a set number of tickets. It's not going to be an unlimited ticket raffle. And wherever it's drew, I guess we'll just have to pick a mystery person at the track that night that gets to draw the ticket, and whoever wins it, wins it. I don't want anybody.
Don't make it to where don't make it where you have to be there, because I have a hectic schedule, and there's more than likely I'm not going to be there.
They will not have to be there. That's
there you go.
Guaranteed thing. The only other thing is I don't want to drive it to the track and then have to find a ride home from a long ways away either. So.
That's good.
Well, then you raffle it off at Florence, and then you can walk home.
Brian, I'm 360 pounds. I don't walk very far.
Well, all right, real quick, guys.
There's plenty of golf carts and four-wheelers around there. We're fine. We can steal one.
We've
I didn't say that.
We've come to the last...
Hopefully whoever wins the car is thinking at least enough of me to take me home in it.
If I win it, I'll take you home, and we'll get home quickly, because I am a known hauler of ass, just so you know that. I am known for... I made it from Volusia to home in like 8 hours flat.
Maybe I should put a few extra bars in the passenger side then.
Okay, real quick, we're into the final 5 minutes of the program. I got to get to my my top 25 picks for the DirtOnDirt.com drivers poll, and so you guys bear with me here. Starting at number 25, entering the poll for the first time this week, I've got Jared Landers after he picks up the win over there at March Madness over there at Gaffney. 24, Eric Wells. 23, Eddie Carey Jr. Madden fell out because he did terrible, Brian. So Eddie Carrier now is above Chris Madden. Number 22.
All right.
Number 22 is Jackie Boggs. 21, Earl Pearson Jr. Number 20, Jesse Stovall. 19, Jimmy Mars. 18, Ray Cook. Jason Fager chimes in at 17 in my poll. Shannon Babb, 16. 15, Mike Marlar was having a strong run at Green Valley Speedway, but not strong enough to keep him up where I had him in the top 10, so he drops all the way to number 15 this week. Steve Casebolt actually makes an appearance into the top 25 this week at number 14. Brian Burkhofer tumbles, I think, a couple spots in my poll. Number 12, Randy Weaver, finished third this weekend at Green Valley Speedway. Really strong run for those guys. Great paint scheme on that car now. If you guys get a chance, look up Randy Weaver's car. Billy Moyer drops one spot from 10. He's now in 11th. I just don't think he's got it this year for some reason. Number 10 is the second-place finisher at Green Valley Speedway, Tim McCready. And at number 9, still the Squirrel, Brian Shirley. Dennis Erb is up to number 8 in my poll. Steve Francis, number 7. Jimmy Owens, number 6. The top 6 didn't change from last week, so from 1 to 6, it's Josh Richards, number 1. Darrell Lanigan, 2. Don O'Neill, number 3. Scott Bloomquist. Scott Bloomquist is number 4. Shane Clanton, number 5. And, of course, Jimmy Owens, number 6. So there's been a little shake-up from 10 to 25, but not much. The top 6 stayed the same. We got about... Go ahead.
Hold on. I didn't hear the L guy. Was Lanigan in there?
Number 2. Darrell Lanigan still number 2.
Oh. All right.
Club 29 still chasing Richards.
He's going to be chasing him all year.
I think so too. I think the World Outlaws is shaping up to be have a good series. Also, we had planned on doing Rumor Mill Theater this week. It did happen, obviously, as we're approaching about 90 seconds to go. We will get to it probably in a week or the week after. But you guys really want to listen to this one. It's and just to give you a hint, it tells us the story from Volusia, and it involves two of the top 2 guys in the country. Danny, thanks for joining.
And a top 5er.
And a top 5er. And a top 10, a top 2 or 3 car builder.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, those guys can wheel a car too, can't they?
Yeah. French Fry Jones.
That's right. He's got the number 1 driver in the country, in my opinion. Jim can wheel.
That's right. Jeez, okay. Don't give too much away. All right, well, Bobby, any closing thoughts from the One Dirt side of the house?
No, but that recycled race car sounds pretty interesting. We'll probably be in touch and try to do some follow-up, especially if he's got some build photos, some project build photos. We'd love to have them.
See, Danny, I told you.
Well, thanks, Webb. Like I said, I'm going to get a little further along before I start showing it off. There's nothing.
Well, no, man, you want to break it out early so that CJ gets all hot and bothered. We'd love to put that on the web.
It don't take much.
Tell him we're gonna make that roadworthy Rayburn. That he helped Henry Ford build.
All right, before I run out of time with the live feed, I'd like to thank Steve Casebolt for coming on. I'd like to thank Russell Brown. Of course, I'd like to thank Jacob Poole, the Gator hunter out of Michigan. If he puts the Gator scheme on his helmet or on his car, that's going to be awesome. I'd like to thank you, Danny, for coming on. Good luck with the recycled race car. Always nice, Mr. Kimbrough, to have you on. You were actually, people may not know this, but Bobby was he pushed me in the beginning on this deal, and he's the one that told me to crank up the entertainment value of the show. So, Bob, we did it.
You did it, sir. It's always a pleasure to come on.
Not a problem. You're welcome anytime. And for Brian Gray, we're out of here. Talk to you all next week.
Thanks.